Hello, everyone. Here are the moments when you will witness some of the greatest angers of nature. Nature is a force that surprises with every moment. Powerful storms, giant waves, towns underwater. Humanity is facing these huge disasters. Are you ready to witness the most devastating natural events on Earth? In these images that tell of a disaster so big that it can destroy a coast every second, you will discover how devastating the wrath of nature can be. Let's get started. A small town in Canada, Canmore, prepared for a flood when a local creek overflowed. The water eroded the foundations of homes, isolating the town for days, with no one able to leave or enter. In 2020, a major flood occurred in Uzbekistan, triggered by the failure of a large reservoir. In 2014, some areas of the UK began to resemble Venice, with floodwaters rising so quickly that barriers barely held up. In 2024, a local town in Poland was submerged not because of heavy rain, but due to a reservoir failure. This reservoir couldn't handle the fast-moving, powerful water, and as a result, the water flowed into nearby settlements. When the water eventually receded, the dramatic aftermath of nature's fury was visible. The damage was so severe that it reached an incredible $10 billion, making it one of the most destructive hurricanes on record. These people might appear to be opening a new river, but in reality, a rapidly expanding flood is reclaiming the land, as though it's always been there. Fortunately, the disaster was quickly controlled, and no one was injured, though the local parking lots looked grim. After a prolonged drought, a hurricane struck Switzerland. The dry ground couldn't absorb large amounts of water quickly enough, causing the water levels to rise rapidly. Water isn't just merciless, it doesn't discriminate either. It can turn even asphalt into a riverbed. In 2013, a storm that started in Greenland quickly hit the UK, resulting in one of the worst coastal floods the country had seen in 60 years. These containers were supposed to send goods, but it turned out that this would be their last delivery. In 2018, Italy experienced a major flood caused by relentless heavy rainfall. A friendly reminder, plan your beach vacations carefully, choose the wrong season, and you might find yourself witnessing a mini tsunami instead of relaxing. The excavator driver truly deserves a medal for taking such a great personal risk and handling the situation. Mike Valley in Saudi Arabia is sometimes fed by a local dam, and when it turns into a river, the residents must struggle to deal with the rising water levels. Even though the beginning of a flood is incredibly dangerous, there's something impressive about these massive waves. The Ganges River in India is not only incredibly wide, but also incredibly powerful. The waves here can sometimes become extraordinarily large, unlike anything you typically see at sea. In 2011, Hurricane Irene hit the Caribbean and caused massive damage, including destroying bridges. What made this disaster particularly terrifying wasn't just the running water, but also the collapse of a dam. The facility was storing radioactive toxic waste, including hundreds of tons of lead, cadmium, and arsenic, enough to fill 10,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Sometimes water doesn't care about foundations and can sweep a house away, leaving nothing behind. San Sebastian in Spain looks incredibly large, even from a distance, when hit by such waves. When you mix a lot of water with a lot of rocks, you create a mudslide, a natural homemade disaster. El Paso, a city in the middle of the desert, may seem unaffected, but believe it or not, it is also impacted by floods. When the water comes, it's terrifying to think about what it can do. Glacial movements can be fascinating, but they aren't always harmless. In Valako, Russia, the water levels rose so much that ice shifted directly onto the land, posing a significant threat to locals. In Russia, the sea casually rolled in and took over the land as if it were nothing. Fire is often thought of as a destructive force, but water can sometimes be even more devastating. The waves in the GES River were as big as those in the ocean, and the approaching flood was swiftly cleared by the river. In Peru, intense rainfall caused local rivers to run wild, and the city of Lima received a harsh reminder of nature's power. Some homes were washed away as the ground collapsed beneath them. In this Russian town, locals witnessed firsthand the raw power of nature as a landslide passed through and destroyed the entire bridge. A town in Colorado is continually battling disasters. First, forest fires ravaged the area, and then, before the land could recover, water surged in, flooding the town. The scorched earth couldn't absorb the water, which caused chaos. In Austria, a place typically known for its lively ski resorts was cut off from the rest of the world due to floodwaters, making skiing the last thing anyone was thinking about. In 2017, a massive tsunami struck the coast of Greenland and affected a small local village. When the tsunami reached the village, it was 10 meters high, and this was enough to trigger a large landslide. This landslide was further exacerbated when massive rock masses slid into the water. This flood was so severe that it seemed like the village had never existed at all, with homes submerged in water as if they had always been there.